is a very, very busy day when we have meetings literally all day, particularly when we have college council on Tuesday. I believe we are live on YouTube, and so I'll go through the formalities of introducing myself. My name is Ricky Shabazz. I have the honor and privilege of being the president of San Diego City College. College Council is the highest level of governance at our college. We have representatives from the various constituency groups here who represent the leadership of the campus. And if you would like to have an item added to College Council, you can do so one of two ways, either by reaching out to the president's office. Certainly, if you reach out to the president's office, we would have hoped you would have reached out to also one of the leaders that I'm going to introduce momentarily. Or you can reach out to the leaders directly, and they would be happy to bring an item to College Council. And so I'm going to introduce the folks and also welcome back to College Council someone who was elected recently in the Senate or confirmed may be the appropriate. I'll let Mona maybe speak to that. Again, my name is Ricky Shabazz, and I'm the president of college. Mona is the president of Academic Senate. Tilly is the vice president of instruction. Present. Robbie is the dean of information and learning technology. Present. Caesar is the public information officer. Present. Daniel is the supervisory rep. Present. Suna is the president of the chairs of the cabinet. Present. Susan is the dean of institutional effectiveness and the co-chair of city planning. That is a mouthful. Present. Dee is the it says associate dean of nursing, but she's the admin rep for College Council. Present. And if you see me squinting, because I realize I left my glasses. And I don't need anybody to get them out. I'll struggle. Michelle is the reason why we all are here. She's the vice president of the ASG. Present. John is the vice president of administrative services. Present. Marciano, vice president of student services. Present. Sean, president of the classified senate. Present. And Justin is the past president of the academic senate. Welcome, Justin. These are the leaders of the constituency groups here at our college. Again, if you have any item that you would like to discuss, you can reach out to them. They would be happy to bring an item to College Council. Would someone like to make a motion for approval of the September 24th meeting minutes? I motion. Great. You got a first by Dee. Someone like to second? I second. Thank you, Michelle. All in favor? Indicate. Well, are there any modification discussion?
I did have one thing in there, but I'm just looking through quickly under campus safety presentation is number 4F. I just want to clarify it was really Night's Watch, the name for
Night's Watch. I believe it's.
No, I'm just asking because I thought there was a different change to the presentation.
Yes, it'll be faded down.
Okay, then it's fine right now.
Any others? We've got a first and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Anyone want to abstain or object? Not abstaining. Hearing so motion passes. Second to get back. Putting my agenda now. There we go. Every year, our students have their own process to recognize the great work of faculty, classified and managers for the work that they do. I don't see any of the people getting the awards today.
No, we sent an email out. They had scheduled conflict.
Okay. So then let's table item 3.
Right, so Marciano said to move forward with it, we will give it to them later.
Yeah, let's table item 3 and give this one more shot, because I believe these folks deserve their awards in person. So Marciano, if you can take the lead. Michelle, when we do this, we would ask for you to present them on behalf of the ASG. But you see these wonderful awards that will go out. We had a change in the way we did this. Initially, when I arrived, we were doing this as part of commencement. And we moved it to convocation, but for some reason, the awards didn't show up in time for convocation. So moving forward, these awards will be given out as part of convocation. I had asked for Marcel to work with Angel to make sure we get the people here so that we can give their due justice. And if they can't attend the next meeting, then we will just give them or have them pick up the awards from Don's office. Yes, no words.
Yes, he'll be on his way. He's already on.
Okay, then we're gonna skip number 4 and come back to it when Marco gets here. And so we'll go to number 5, and I believe Susan's gonna go over number 5.
Yes,
It's an action item.
yes. So this is returning after being presented. A couple of months ago, and then having an opportunity for the different constituency groups to have discussion. But the proposal that's being brought forward by city planning, because the original work group that worked on our community restructuring proposals, probably 2 years ago now, was part of city planning. And so in alignment with that new structure, the proposal is to add a representative with the seat on college council for the 2 new councils in that structure, ideas and professional learning. So there was some good discussion with different constituency groups. It is up to each of those councils to determine who their representative is through their own process. So it could be anybody who is a member or co-chair of one of those groups, which means it could be someone that is part of any of the constituency groups. There were no objections. There was just some discussion and clarification during the conversation. And so this is returning back to the agenda as an action item.
Any questions for Susan? Yes.
I have a question. So is it the same term as every other member on here, or does it have its own term for city members?
I mean, it would be the same as any other group in that everybody on college council is representing a constituency. And so
Yeah, but some of them, let me interject real quick about this, Susan. Some folks on college council are here as a result of their job. Some people are here as a result of being elected by their constituency. So this one, given that this is a committee, would likely follow suit of the people that council votes for. And I think an example would be Sean and Dee, Daniel. I would say the vast majority of the non-executive members are here as a result of being voted in by their constituencies. And so this is a constituent. This is a committee, which has a chair
or co-chair or tri-chairs, and they would determine who they wanted to have as a representative of college council, whether they assign that to one of the chairs or designate someone else.
and this went to the academic senate and the classified senate. This is the road show. Any thoughts? Someone would like to make a motion for approval? Well, let me give some context. So the last person or group we added came in my first year here, which was SPA, that did not have representation here, but is a constituency group on campus and faculty. Matter of fact, I think at the time, Justin, you were the academic senate president, if I'm not mistaken. Were supportive of adding SPA to this group. We are actually the only college in the district that has SPA here. But it went through a process very similar to this particular recommendation. I was not involved in this recommendation, but supportive of it going through shared governance in comparison to SPA, which I took myself, given that they didn't have a voice here, but certainly the supervisors are on the front line of decisions made at college. Any thoughts or questions? Someone like to make a motion?
I'll motion for approval of such.
Thank you. Tilly.
This is Sean, my second.
Any further discussion? And is this likely to add another faculty member and a manager, or just a faculty member? What, help me understand that piece.
Well, it would be up to the Ideas Council and the Professional Learning Council to determine who they want their representative to be.
But it would two people,
It would be two people. Because of
one
each
from
group-
each?
Yes,
Okay.
each group would have a representative, and then the intent behind that hub structure was that in our discussions around our governance structure, we felt like professional learning and inclusion, diversity, equity, and access were significant enough that they should be represented directly in the discussions. That, you know, and the decision making that happens at college council.
Any,
I think the only hub that's not represented, right? If I call them hubs, I'm sorry, you know, councils, yeah,
so I'm gonna, well, let me make a recommendation that we table this until the time I can have a conversation with Mona. Because I believe this discussion took place during the transition of academic senate presidents, and I believe the current academic senate president has a plan for a diversity position on the Senate exec, which also needs to include a discussion with the current faculty member who's in a role for the college on ideas and the district. This literally all just came to me right now as we were discussing this. So let me table, let me suggest that we table this only because Mona and I just had a conversation yesterday. And I had a conversation with Dean Shelton prior to going to Africa. And we need to get together to work through some changes that are happening at the district with the faculty DEI position and the proposed position that the Senate's coming forward. So I want to be respectful that some discussions need to take place of what that looks like prior to us getting to this point. Susan, I apologize that this just dawned on me right now, that problem. Some things have transpired from the time that you and I talked about bringing this forward to a actual vote. Any questions about that? What are your thoughts?
That's fine. I've had a conversation with Susan about this. We had several emails and then a very clarifying conversation. But I do understand that there are further complications and as our DEI position may overlap in some ways with.
Yeah, and this potentially has the likelihood, as I'm thinking through this, of having three people in a very similar role, right? You could, because if Deanna Shelton isn't voted on here, and then the Senate has a position, you could theoretically have 3 people doing similar work that will be new for our college that we probably should think through before we bring someone here. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, can I add something to, I can't remember the full name of the one with the new position from the district, but CDAC, right? CDAC, I don't remember all the department for that. But my understanding is that role, which is the designated of the president, can either be faculty or can be a classified. That's something that just came out, which I don't think you have seen yet.
Yeah, that was the part that I was saying, I had a conversation with Deanna, like literally before I got on the plane to go to Ghana. And
just
so
wanted to
this
talk
is
that out.
all new to me. And as I converse with Mona, the president, the way it works in our district actually does not have purview, and actually I learned this from Justin, now that I think about it, does not have purview to designate a faculty member outside of the Senate's process. So this sounds to me like whoever came up with this at the district, which I was not involved, may not know that the president in our current structure, that the president, yes, has right of assignment, but we don't have the right of appointing a faculty member unless it's part of their duties to, I'm gonna call it a committee for lack of a better word, right? That committee structure is, so this is literally new to me. And I haven't even seen it in writing, although Deanna sent it to me because I've been in Ghana for the past 13 minutes. Tsunami.
Yeah, I'm hoping you can clarify your thinking for me. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 councils. One of the councils is a constituency group, which includes ASG, Academic Senate, Classified Senate, and SPA, Daniel. So what we don't have is a representative from our Ideas Council, one of the 6 councils that reports to us, or the Professional Development Council. So if you could clarify your thinking on why this actually overlaps with the district's thing. From my perspective, not having a voice from those 2 councils who are reporting to College Council or having their representation here, doesn't feel right.
Yeah, duly noted, and thank you for that question because it allows me to clarify. I think we probably could vote today on the Professional Learning Council because that one is clear. The one that literally Sunat just was presented to me of needing a discussion from the current person in the role before we vote would be, I haven't had time to connect with Deanna Shelton to learn about this new district role that I was made aware of, says the president designates someone. And it could be a faculty member, but that is not historically how our college designates the faculty member. Typically goes through what's it, the committee on committees. And so I haven't had a chance to process that piece of it, nor having a discussion with Mona or Deanna, which was agreed upon from both parties that we should probably have a discussion about the role of this district position and the role of the proposed Senate position, so we can work out if there is any potential conflicts before we just appoint someone here. Because ideally, it really should be the same person if I'm looking out across the college in terms of people, that this is a function of their release time or their role is normally the same person. We normally don't have multiple people with the same kind of title. And I'm saying that not having enough knowledge on either to weigh in.
So I think I may have misunderstood. So the Professional Development Council or the Professional Learning Council and the Ideas Council, they would vote on who to send? I thought that was what I understood.
That is
So
correct.
it wouldn't be an appointment on your end? Maybe I'm misunderstanding something here, sorry. I'm just trying to get.
Yeah, there are 3 things at play with I'm just gonna call it the DEI person.
Yeah.
That is, the district has done some work that is unbeknownst to me. That I believe elevates the role that Deanna Shelton is currently in. And I need some time to review those documents. Alongside the plan for the current Senate president for a DEI person on exec.
Which to be clear, I do think is a separate role,
Okay.
because one of their biggest roles, as defined by the ASCCC resolution is to be a liaison with ASCCC, and so, you know, their state level, they're doing a lot of DIA work. And we want to make sure that we're in alignment at our level. So I haven't had a conversation with Deanna about overlap yet, and I do think that needs to happen, but I am hopeful that those roles can be separate and that we can identify, you know, the boundaries between.
So hearing that, I'll ask Mona what your pleasure is, because we could vote on both today and work through the details offline, or we could hold off on the ideas portion until we have this discussion and bring it back.
I think slowing it down is always fine and sometimes preferable, unless there is a reason to, like, unless we need to vote right now, is there an urgency to them?
I don't believe that there's an urgency to vote on the ideas portion, given that there are things that have transpired at the district that I also need to educate myself on. Even this new, did you say CDEC?
CDAC.
AC. And I believe Deanna sent me some information that I'm just swimming in emails that I haven't had a chance to read. So, yes.
I'd like to add that, on similar sentiments to Mona, this will give us an opportunity to bring it to classified discussion.
Okay. So, we had a first and a second. I am offering a friendly amendment, which, would you remind me who did the first?
I was looking at.
Tilly.
That was like a year ago.
Yeah. Tilly, would you
I
accept it?
motion to.
Okay, somebody want a second, the
And then I'll second that.
Great. And so, then what I am proposing again is that we vote on the inclusion of the Professional Learning Council representative as voted by the Learning Council. Their rep on College Council, we will table the ideas. And I would say I probably need a month just because of my travel schedule, to be able to get with both Deanna and Mona on that portion of it, because they also need to meet to work through those details. And Susan, I would ask you to follow up with both of them if you could on that portion of it. With that said, we've got a first and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone in opposition or like to abstain? Motion carries. I'm gonna just call a vote just so we're clear that we voted to add a rep as determined by the first Professional Learning Council to College Council. That rep could be a faculty, it could be a non-faculty, that council determined the representative. Susan, I would ask that we come up with terms for some of these folks. So that it is clearly articulated in our governance handbook. We probably need to do that for all the positions that are not already spelled out. We know this, the academic senate has a term, you know, the chair of chairs has a term, but some of the other positions we may need clarification on. That Susan will follow up with Mona and Deanna, that they have a conversation and work through the recommendation for who the ideas rep, or whether, I mean, hearing from Mona sounds like there isn't overlap. But anytime there's something new that's it's been mentioned, there's an opportunity to slow things down and have a discussion.
I did find the official name, Campus Diversity Advisory Council, CDAC. Campus Diversity Advisory Council.
Which for us is a subset of ideas in the diversity So how I get,
I know.
again, I need to go back and review this because but what I am clear about, and I communicated to Deanna that, any faculty who serves on the committee, unless it is part of their job, is appointed through, the committee on committees that the president doesn't, I can recommend. But it has to go through the academic senate process. Okay, that was exciting. Glad we were able to work through that. Speaking of working through, item 6, and then I'll come back to Marco. We regularly have forums on campus. We have one with the classified senate. There was a request from the classified to have identified employee-only restrooms. Just so happens that we have at least one. It's right out this door. So we have a forum coming up, I think in 2 weeks. And so I asked John to communicate on where that bathroom is and actually putting together a map for the restroom when we come to the meeting in a couple of weeks. But John, do you want to speak to the bathroom?
Yeah, surely. We do have this one right outside of our door. We will add that to the map. In addition, we're adding signage that says employee restroom. There was an understanding that we had 2 others in MS and AH, which is not the case, although one of them does have signage faculty restroom, but it is open to everyone. So this is that one is a fifth floor. Due to AB 783, which I think passed in 2023, all single-use restrooms, public single-use restrooms must be designated as gender neutral, which is the case on campus. So we are not able to convert those to employee restrooms. Map forth.
What we could do though, when we get to, and I'm just gonna maybe talk about item 7, then I'll come to you, Marco, sorry for, I think it's appropriate. As we build out, assuming Measure HH passes, that could be something we put into the plan for new construction. It's easier to build an employee-only bathroom starting from scratch versus given the information that John just mentioned about the current legislation that requires all single stall, single entry restrooms. So we want to report that out to the classified. Yes.
So I just want to clarify, in AH on the 5th floor, there are 2 restrooms, one on either side. And the one that's been designated faculty restroom, it doesn't, there's no door or really key or anything. There's just a sign that someone put up on the wall that says faculty restroom.
Yeah, and I don't know when it was done.
And it's fine, it works for us. It's not always honored. Will other people use the bathroom? It's never posed a problem for us, but it generally does the job. So, it was a really easy fix that someone figured just to designate it a faculty restroom. It generally works.
I think the issue came up was not the faculty, it's other constituency groups that could they use it as well, because it's faculty and not.
Oh, right,
employee.
not employee, right, it should say.
Yeah, that was just, I think that was.
Yeah, and the message was that technically we don't have any employee restrooms other than this one. There's a desire among some of the classified to have employee specific restrooms. Given our limitations, it's easier to address that, assuming Measure HH passes, and as we build out some of these facilities, it will be easier to do that at that point. Versus folks would have liked us to convert some of the single stall, and we're not able to do that, which means we would have to take a whole series of bathrooms offline. Then there would be no bathrooms for non-employees. So we'll work through that and present the update to the classified in 2 weeks when we have our forum. Any other questions on? I'm going to just finish item 7, which is right now. I got an update today on Measure HH. It is polling upwards of 60+%. The marketing communications will start it last week. We raised about $1 million to market this to San Diego It's looking very favorably. We would ask for anyone's help in getting the word out about the measure. Because certainly we have needs on our campus to update our facilities. And we have the list of them on the website, largely Seville, building out a structure for seeds, a walkover bridge from this portion of the campus over to the athletic facilities, and a host of other things on campus that were not included in the original drop estimate. So this totals of about $3.7 billion dollars. So please, if you are so inclined, you can go to the website SD for communitycolleges.org. And Angel, I would ask you to send that out. First, verify that it's correct because I left my paper up in my office. So I believe it's SD for communitycolleges.org. You'll see videos there. You'll see other information there. If you're so inclined to share it on your social media or with folks who you know who live in San Diego proper, our college and the district would greatly benefit from these additional revenue to continue to build out our campus. Any questions on that? Hearing none, I am now going to turn it over to Mark to provide an update on the higher institute.
Yes,
I can do
whatever.
Yeah. Seriously, good. All right, Angel, we'll put up my slides, but I'm just giving a brief update on the New Hires Institute, just kind of an overview of the program. And Angel, when you're ready, go to the next slide. Oh yeah, sorry, next slide. It's just
The next slide?
the third slide, yes. Thank you. All right, so the New Hires Institute, as it stands now, we've been making adjustments to it as we go and connecting with the different constituent groups, but as it stands now, it's a 10 sessions over 2 semesters. There are, right now what we do is if they're able to make the first 2 sessions of the semester, right, they get their hiring dates falls within that period of time, they're getting the invitation to attend. If they get hired after our second one, what we're doing is inviting them to begin the following semester so that they can really maximize the number of sessions that they can attend. I'm working on those individuals. I'm working on something for them where I personally connect with them on something for the New Hires Institute so that they have some connection between when they're hired in really the middle of the semester and when their cohort begins. Because I don't want there to be no connection between New Hires Institute and then when they begin. But this is a way for us to really coalesce the cohort so they really feel like they're in it together and this is their cohort and they get to know those individuals over the course of the 10 sessions. Right now, that's about 33 participants. That's taking out individuals that have been marked as promotions. And that's just from the list I get from Lydia from the New Hires. It has a column that says it goes from Nance to contract or part-time to contract, and it'll say promotion. If I take out the promotions, there's 33 participants that fall into that category. I fall into the category of part-time to full-time. Technically, it's kind of like a promotion, but I'm still sending out that information to the people to come to the cohort. I found that the promotion, the people who will get designated promotion, don't attend the New Hires Institute. They've been here for a really long time. And so I'm working with our executive team on our communication to when we receive new hires, how do we classify them and who do we make that invite to? And so that then the person who hired them also knows, oh, I need to be able to tell this person to attend the New Hires Institute so that we can clarify really who it's for. Now, that being said, I've had Elva and Anna have participated in sessions of the New Hires Institute, and it is incredibly valuable to have people who have been here a long time be our secret shoppers in the session because they can add to the conversations that the new employees have when we're doing small breakout and group work. So I am trying to keep that theme alive because it really does add to the mentoring that happens informally in those types of groups because they add to that institutional knowledge in our discussion. What you see on the second half of the screen, these are the goals we've outlined for the New Hires Institute. So I wanted to make sure we could articulate how we were designing each of the sessions and what the purpose are. So we have 3 of them. The main one being able to have the participants describe what our social justice and equity ethos is here at City. And so that what it means to them in their role, and then also how do they apply it in what they do on campus. So we'd like them to be able to come away with something like that after they're done with the program. The second one is to be able, and this is one that the participants themselves have really emphasized they want and that they value, is developing positive and collegial relationships with people on campus. They really like the time and space to have classified faculty and supervisors and managers all in the same place to meet with each other, even amongst the groups themselves, faculty and classified professionals. They don't get to interact with each other a lot, right? Different departments, different areas of campus. And so they've all said they really value time where it's designed informal time where they can create relationships. So we're working on doing that in each of the sessions. And really the last one that we're working on with a group of faculty right now is being able to increase the employee's self-efficacy by knowing how to leverage the resources you already have on campus. So it's knowing if you have a question, who do you ask or where do you go? Because we don't have as much contact with them as once a month right now to be able to give them that one-on-one, but we want to be able to make sure we build in some sort of, for lack of a better term, onboarding or resource for the new hires in their first year that perhaps they can access when they have questions. Right now, I've started with the faculty and the work group we have under the Professional Learning Council to work on what that looks like, but for full-time faculty, but also part-time faculty, because a lot of the questions are the same. So those are our three goals we've outlined. So anything that happens in one of those sessions has to meet one of these three goals that we have. Since, yeah.
So, thank you for this.
I just have one other thing. Questions.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, Angel, just one more slide.
Okay.
So what that comes to now is I'm working with our executive group and everybody who's hired someone who's the hiring manager to kind of slowly roll out the communication to them to make that formal. I invite them myself. I usually see them in person when I hand them their swag bag and I talk to them a little bit. And I invite them in an email and in person, but it's also nice to get that knowledge and to get that invite from the person who hired them. And so that they make that time and space, say, hey, this is for you. And you know, the expectation is that you're able to attend. And then that the hiring manager can kind of help maybe look forward to clearing that schedule for that employee. And that really comes from my part, being able to get our schedule out in advance and sharing it with everybody who's had a new one so that they know. And then it's just working on the communication of the program to the hiring managers. And I'm starting to send out just kind of an update on who's able to attend. I do make note on people that have told me, hey, I'm sick, I have class scheduled during that time, anything like that. One, it's helpful for me, but it's going to be helpful for the managers who review it and wonder, well, how come they didn't show up? Well, they didn't communicate with me that they weren't able to. So we're working on that this semester and we'll continue to stream.
I just wanted to add a couple of things. Thank you so much. And I like, so one question for you. Over 10 sessions over 2 semesters, but if I have somebody that starts in the spring semester, do they only go to the spring or do they come back into fall?
Good question. So they'll do spring, fall.
So they get 2 semesters?
Yeah, they'll always get 2 semesters. It just determines when they start.
2 more things real quick was, I just have to share, we had a student journey committee last Friday. Very talkative. I've been talking about this meeting all day. And some of everyone was talking about how stuff again, you know, have been here for such a long time, and they actually thought about something different instead of the new hire institute. They called themselves the old hire institute. People have been here for a while.
The veteran is.
I like that, veteran institute. And I'll just share that I do have 2 individuals that I put into the new hire institute that have been here for many years, but are gone for gaps. I mean, like 5 or 6 years of time. And in my staff, they're like, I don't really know what happens or what's going on anymore. So they asked if they could go, and
You should tell them to just go look at all the college council people.
there we go. But I thought it was just really great, and they've really been getting a lot out of it. They're attending, they're bringing stuff back, and then they're able in our office to be able to help with other new hires walk through different processes and what to expect. So
Yeah.
I would just add in, I had a chance before, we went on the study abroad to go to the academic senate, introduce the data on hiring. I will ask John to bring that and add that to the agenda for the next meeting. And just, I wanted to clarify, that there are about 43 faculty hires since 21. 12 of which are brand new, about six are in process. I mentioned that 18 were manager hires, but out of that 18, only approximately 4 or 6 are new. So what happened is, during the Great Resignation or COVID, a number of people could retire and elected to do so. The number I'll also have, John Parker bring, this will, I believe, appeal to everyone, but particularly are classified, is our number of employees prior to COVID was somewhere in the 300 range. We're now approaching 400 people who are employed at San Diego City College, the largest number in the history of the college. And so we are still hiring. I do believe that this next phase of hiring will be our last of this magnitude. I think we'll get back to some sense of normalcy where we're hiring maybe 3 or 4 or 5 people a year. But you saw the number that Marco listed there, which was I think 33.
33 minus the,
And so that is a huge number of new people, which sets the tone for how important these new hire institutes are, that we are introducing our college's culture. Because we know when we hire faculty, when we hire classified, they are likely to be with us for 20 to 30 years. So these folks are the future of the college. And so any opportunity for the leaders at College Council to go present a new hire, please work with Marco, because we want to make sure that these new hires know each other. And I'll give you an example. I was having a conversation with a colleague who made a declarative statement that we only had X number of a certain kind of faculty. And the number that was used was significantly off. And that led to me putting together some luncheons with certain populations of people who just haven't met each other, because maybe they're in the MS building and other groups in the V building or whatever the case may be. That because of the nature of COVID and the nature of our campus, that unless we take intentional efforts like the New Hire Institute or some of these luncheons that we're sponsoring, people may just not know each other. The data is also, I think we should also look at the demographics of who is getting hired. Because of the diversity of our campus, it is important to me, our board, and many people on this campus, that we hire people who reflect the diversity of our college. And this college has a history of doing that. And I intend to uphold that history of making sure that the people who we hire reflect the diversity of our campus. So I'll ask Angel to put that on the agenda for next meeting so that John can provide the data to the demographics of who is given. Any other questions about any of those things? Did you have a second? Or that was it?
the renovation update, I can.
Oh, yes, we'll bring that back,
Another time.
because I want Marco to show the, what do we call it?
Architectural.
Yes, the architectural
Concept.
plan, concept of measure HA if it passes, what it would look like. And also talk more about the Elvis Salinas PLC. So that'll be added agent to the agenda next time as well. Item 9 has already been discussed when we met in the library, so that is a duplicate there. Number 8, unfortunately, the governor did not sign SB 8. No, I'm sorry. The governor did sign SB 895. No.
Did not.
Those are too close together. I'm thinking the Black Serving Institution and the BSN, okay, nursing. The governor did not sign 895, which is the BSN, but there'll be continued advocacy. He did sign the Black Serving Institution legislation. My apologies for getting those two mixed up, part of which because I don't have glasses. And so we will be working with our nursing department led by Dr. Armstrong to continue advocacy. I believe we will see our college offer a bachelor's degree in nursing in my lifetime. But we have continued advocacy to do around that. Any questions about that? Very shocked that he did not sign in.
No, so it's a long.
I don't know if the gray hairs are sharing how young I used to be. Yes,
Is there any speculation or informed speculation as to why? I'm assuming it was. Yeah, I mean.
the CSU.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's. Yes.
Yeah, openly, I was on a number of panels with the CSU. And they propagated frankly false information. And let's be real, this is Michigan. And it's also to some degree or another critical that the CSU is advocating at the same time for additional PhDs pushing against UC and at the same time telling us that we're mission creeping by offering bachelors. They mounted a very strong campaign against this because it does open the door for us to offer additional bachelor's degrees in duplicative areas that currently we're not able to. We knew that that was a risk, but given the campaign that was mounted, I was shocked that he didn't sign. Yes. Any other questions? And I received word today that from Tilly, an update that we have another program on campus that are having discussions about a bachelor's degree. So I look forward to those discussions with that department. And they will eventually find themselves here if, in fact, the department is interested. Number 10 doesn't need to be there. We all need help. We all need to clone ourselves. We all need some more time in the day. We all.
Visit the website, need help.
Yes.
On the top button on the homepage. Gives you a list of resources for.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
If you need help, resources that.
I thought that was a note to myself. I
No, it didn't need help, but we've been adding resources to it. So what I just encourage folks to take a look at it, see what's on there. If you see a resource that you think we might be missing, please let Caesar and I know. But this is a great resource to share with faculty, staff, and students as a way to connect, for most things that you have a question about, there'll be something on this website that point you who on our campus has that kind of resources for whatever that is. So it's really a way for our students to figure out, if I want to borrow a laptop, where do I go? If I want to access basic needs, how do I do that? If I want to apply for financial aid, where do I need to begin? So all of those things are on that, and we made it easy for students to get to.
Can we make sure, Angel, that everybody has that link to the need help? Yes.
I just clicked on it and it's great. There's so many resources, but if, I'm not a student, but if I was a student, I don't know if I would click on that to get these resources. So I wonder if we can maybe have some students look it over and give us feedback on, maybe do we need to add a word, do students need help, or, do you need resources, or is there wording that might make it easier for them to, so when I say need help, I think need help with this website or something more technical, but yeah, these are something. It could just be a tiny shift in language that would get more people to think.
So Caesar, at one time, did the website not have an icon on that front page that talked about, I'm just trying to remember what
We had an FAQ page.
Oh, okay.
We had an FAQ. This is much more.
Yeah. And it is always good to do what Mona is suggesting. In fact, she made the suggestion last time as well in terms of the language
See something, say something.
see something, say something. So, Marciano, Caesar, please follow up on that. I can say with this one, we did test it out with students because they were emailing us saying, I don't know where to go for help. But that doesn't mean, the one thing I've learned, now that I've been here as long as I have, is that it's always good to retest these things out, because what may have worked for the group prior may not work for the group here. And to your point, when we had a student forum about 2 weeks ago, and I sent personalized emails and letters to certain student groups. And none of the students in the audience had received the emails or received the letters. So I'm having to go back to the drawing board as well. Unless I go to Caesar's office and he got a whole bunch of letters somewhere in his office, he didn't mail out. So that duly noted, Marcel, I would ask you to work with the Don, test this out on student government, and also demo the page to get some feedback. Yes.
Yeah, so I could bring that up to the ASG and look over the website and see what we think about that as students, be able to go in and look over the page. I think just like you mentioned, just something like need help looking for resources would be more helpful, because like she mentioned, if I see like need help on a website, I'm gonna assume it's for IT, not for researchers. So that would be helpful. And then since you also mentioned the
Say something.
thing, I did bring that up to ASG and we did come up with 2 slogans.
Nice.
Yeah, so that would be either share your eyes or share your eyes save lives, which I think is also great. So those are the
Did you write that down, Caesar? Yep.
yeah, those were the 2 main ones.
Well, thank you for doing it. I believe I'm coming to the ASG.
Tomorrow.
It is tomorrow. So I apologize, folks. I literally got off a plane about 24 hours ago. Classified forum, you see the date there. Looking forward to that. All are welcome. Are there? Yes, we're gonna dress up. Haven't figured out. I'm gonna dress up as a college president to see how that goes. Are there any requests for college council agenda items? Things that folks would like to discuss? I know we gave some to Angel and Tia prior. Let's keep this, Angel, as a standing item. We do want to make sure we talk about the things that you all want to talk about. So if there are items that you would like to bring forward, please let us know. Going once, yes.
I already emailed the request with Christina Carrillo, and I would like to have a guided pathways update.
Yes.
Next week.
And I'd like to present an update on timely care.
Good. So you have both of those. Great. Perfect.
Have cameras been discussed here at College Council?
They have,
They have.
well, I think I initially couched it a while back that it would need to be presented to council for a vote.
Okay.
Since then, I haven't discussed it because that's not. I think you and I were.
Yeah. I think that piece of information that when we see that no Senate is going to want to know is the projected cost. Because right now we just have an idea of what we imagine it to look like on campus, but considering where we are budget wise right now, I think people are concerned about the cost. So if that can be shared at College Council or in some other context.
Sure, why don't you and I have a discussion and maybe I can hopefully answer other questions as well. But it will be a digital.
Yeah, and I would like you, John, to just work with Mona to get on the academic senate agenda so that it is out there. Where is your health and safety committee at?
We, it was approved through the Health and Safety Committee after speaking with AFT faculty representatives.
So
I can't give.
This also goes back to, a lot of things that's going back to Justin being the national entertainment president. And this has come full circle. My understanding, and let's make this an agenda item, you talk to Mona in the Senate. My understanding is the AFT has negotiated this as a working condition with the district. Which then adds a layer to the approval process that wasn't in place when this came forward the last time. In my conversations with SPA and the classified, actually, this may have been Paul Alexander, helped really educate me on what I'm gonna call the false sense of security that goes along the campus. But I also know that there are some people who feel very strongly on neither side of this. What I do know as someone who has cameras on my own house and the cameras have caught someone doing something that they shouldn't have been doing, that when I contacted the authorities, they never came. And so that is something we need to work through, but I also will say that our campus is broken into conservatively
Every day.
4 or 5 times a day. And it's been interesting to see the change in perspectives on this amongst certain people, but it is absolutely worthy of a discussion that will need to take place here at some point. What John is alluding to, though, is that given now that it is a working condition that has been negotiated with AFT in the district, it doesn't necessarily require the same kind of vote that it would had it not. To your point, Mona, I believe that, John, you should give some more concrete analysis or update on the funding piece of this, that this is likely to be funded out of funds that can only be spent on this versus other things, right? It's
Yes.
my job to read between the lines in terms of the notion of what funding is going to put these cameras in place are funds that cannot or likely not be used for other things besides this.
Correct, this will come from strictly for maintenance or facilities.
But yes,
Yeah, I just want to add another piece to this because this was in 2017, 2017-18 when Don's predecessor was going to install surveillance cameras around the campus, including inside. And so when it came to academic senate, there was great concern about 2 things. One is we have a predominantly student population of color who are, I would characterize over policed and over surveilled in their communities. And at that time, I don't know about now, but at that time, the only campus that was being discussed and considered for installing surveillance cameras was City College, which is the disproportionate loan for students of color. And so that was one concern. Second concern was, well, there's 3. The second was the advocacy, and so we were part of a lot of discussions on academic senate in terms of what the cost is, was the benefit. And then the third thing was when I took it to the union, and that's when Jim actually filed a grievance against the district. Because this was moving ahead without consultation, and that from the union's perspective, cameras, especially inside the buildings, became a workplace issue. And so that's when the grievance was filed, and that's when the whole thing just stopped. So I'm just adding a little bit of background, some of you weren't here. But now like as you said, it's the union has taken the position that this is a negotiable thing. So, but I still think a lot of those things are still.
yeah,
And then, if I may add to that as well, it did predate me thinking I did have a little bit of the history. Just wanted to preface it that It will not be for the inside of buildings or classrooms. It's only for the exterior access points for buildings, training, egress and egress points. It is not to be used for monitoring purposes or disciplinary purposes, only for investigations, which is born near assault of our employees. We had to use Garfield cameras for that investigation. So this will just be for investigation. No one's going to monitor it. No one will even have access to it unless there is an incident that requires that. And correct, it's for the storage. And it was at the recommendation actually at the health and safety level of faculty members. And it was about 6 months conversation up to the health and safety.
Yeah, and I would just add, Justin is spot on, and I would even add greater context, because I was educated on cameras more than I'd like to admit, but learned a great deal that changed my perspective. And that had to do with this corresponding with the cameras that were placed in the lights in San Diego City proper, who the vendor assured the city that the taping would not be used in a way that it wound up being used to track. And so this is a touchy subject, because once you videotape someone and it's a third party, there's no assurances. Like there's cases of the misuse of some of these videos. And I've spoken openly to folks who feel very strongly about this. That I now know that if there's a video camera, someone expects that there's somebody on the other side of that camera, when in fact there likely not someone on the other side of that camera. And that concerns me deeply, that expectation that there's a video camera, so somebody must be watching it, when in fact we don't have the human resources to do that. And so we do need a dialogue around this. And John, I would ask for you, in preparation to talking about it at the academic senate here, to provide the updated language from the union of what and how what has been agreed upon. And also to your point, Justin, and frankly to my surprise, CE was the first college to really build this out, because their auditorium and offices were getting broken into like every day. And they can pinpoint a reduction of the break-ins to the cameras. But I was very shocked, again, knowing what we had been through in the discussions we were through. I was very shocked to know that was supported. And I've now been here long enough where I've seen things that I couldn't do. Others are now able to do, not that I wanted to do it, but that we initiated discussion. So there has been this negotiations from the district and the AFT to allow this. Yeah.
So I'll reach out.
And it'll eventually come back here. We will not do what, if I have anything to do with it, say it that way too, but right, the campuses technically belong to the districts where it gets tricky in a multi-college district, but you have my assurities that we will not place any cameras on campus without it coming here first, unlike the police somehow getting tasers before. Which again, we have very little to do with those decisions. I would have so there will be a future agenda item. I would depend on John and or the academic senate to bring it forward. Sounds like John's going to speak with you all first before it comes back. There are some folks who are very strong about having these cameras, and frankly, there are some places that I would like them to be, that are areas that get routinely broken into. I'm not sure that will stop people from I'd like to at least try to see. But I hear you all also that we would not ever want to take away resources that can go to the classroom or support students in order to do so. But we do need to figure this out, given the amount of things that are taken on our campus and the amount of windows and things that we're replacing. We're doing some work and just acknowledge Daniel with the library because it has been a highly trafficked area, but I think we came up with some other solutions that I hope will sure it'll keep us advised as they're not. We went over there in the last meeting. Anything else for the good of the order? I do have something. I want to just publicly thank, acknowledge two of our mental health counselors who accompanied me to Ghana. We will work on an update on the Ghana trip. There will be a presentation Thursday in the board meeting. But to have Nikki and Michael there meant the world that we have great counselors, mental health counselors, certainly under the leadership of Leslie Easton, that really helped our students and in fact helped me deal with some very real matters that we dealt with while we were in Ghana. So Marcelo, if you can extend my appreciation to both of them. I know I sent it to them today, but it was great to have them along with us on the trip. We will hear from our students at some point. We'll do a presentation to College Council on their experience of the trip. For those of you who'd like to see it sooner, you can come to the board meeting. This is a busy week. There are a number of things that I'm going to ask Angel to update you all on, mainly the board meeting on Thursday. You all should have gotten an invite for the manager/open meeting we're having with the chancellor tomorrow. He's going to be going over the
EEO presentation.
the blind screening in the EEO presentation. Tilly will extend an invite also to the chairs, but everyone here should have been invited to that Wednesday meeting. And then Friday, we will have corporate council on campus. So it is very busy this week. Yes, that is invite only due to space limitations. But we will have a luncheon for our Latinx employees that should have received an email based on the district telling us. And it really is just space. We know City College can throw a party, but we don't have enough space. So we're going to be honoring those Latinx faculty and staff who have 20+ years of service to the college on tomorrow. And Marciano, do you want to talk about, or Timmy, you want to talk about the event today?
Yes, so at 4 o'clock, so just in about 20 minutes, we have Abriendo las Puertas, consejos on hiring. And so we've got 4 faculty and SPA folks that will talk about their transition into contract positions. And so we're excited for them to share their journey and what it's been like as a Latinx employee moving into these brand new roles. So we're excited to learn from them. So
And
BT 301.
And I would also like to acknowledge the many contributions of our Filipino Americans and Filipinos, both on our campus and in our community. San Diego has a rather large population, so look out for additional information about Filipino American history, Heritage Month. Acknowledge the many contributions of folks on campus. There's always a lot to celebrate when you are committed to diversity and equity and inclusion like we are in San Diego City College. With that said, there are no other announcements. You all enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you all in 2 weeks. Take care.
BT 301.